Hi, friends. Today we're talking about everyone's favorite little blue aliens to relentlessly bully the Tau. These funky fellas are the newest faction in 40k, and they're all about being on the cutting edge of technology, making friends, being woefully naive to the true horrors of the galaxy, and of course, the real reason anyone's a Tau player. Anime, baby! They got weeb mecha suits, they've got lightly Japanese coded themes, and they've got horribly degenerate fan art. Can I get a hell yeah? Hell yeah! That's how they started, as most species do, disgusting little cavemen rolling around in the mud, hunting and gathering, as was the style of the time. And it was also sometime in this primal age that the Imperium first discovered the planet of Tau and marked it for extermination, as they tend to do. However, the planet was isolated by a host of warp storms, so the Imperium kind of just forgot to destroy these little blue guys, and just like that essay you forgot to do, in time the Tau would grow to be a big problem. Tau society was originally made up of various nomadic tribes that gained control of various environments. These tribes became more established and gained adaptations to suit their different environments. The Tau of the plains excelled at hunting and were physically the strongest. They would become the fire caste. The Tau of the mountains evolved lighter bones and grew tall, and these would become the air caste. The Tau of the river were the first to make permanent settlements and develop agriculture, and these would become the earth caste. And finally, the most nomadic of the tribes traveled between the settlements and, if Reddit is to be believed, evolved into a bunch of hot babes. These Tau would become the water caste. Casts, eh? What if I remove this little T here? Whoa, that spells case. How apt, because today's video is sponsored by Tabletop Stronghold. Tabletop Stronghold is a wonderful company that makes excellent mini cases and MDF terrain, and it's all run by one guy, taking small business to the extreme. The Mad Case is super customizable with removable steel trays that slide out for easy access to your minis and are easy to rearrange in order to optimize the space to your army's needs. Here's my Mad Case 2.0 with my beloved Shadows of the Abyss Guard Army. And just look at how many guardsmen and tanks I was able to fit in this thing. I haven't done the calculations in a while, but it's a roughly 4,000 point army. And yes, that's a Baneblade down there. The trays being steel also means that you can magnetize your minis to be super secure for the treacherous drive to your local mini store. And it comes with a bunch of 3x2mm magnets to glue to your bases. There's 3 different sizes based on your needs. The one I showed is a regular size, but there's also a mini and an extra large if your mini collection is even more financially irresponsible than mine. And the case's large capacity isn't a problem since it's also very durable, able to hold up to 250 pounds. That's important to me since I'm a sim for the old models, and like 3 squads of Kazarkan is roughly 50 pounds of sweet, sweet pewter. And best of all, there's a Black Friday sale going on now. Get up to 40% off on select products, link in the description below. Plus, free shipping to the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and most of the EU. So, if this sounds good to you, check out Tabletop Stronghold and buy one of their sweet cases today. Also, this company's based in West Virginia, so you can feel good blasting country roads on your way to the shop. But yeah, the 4 tribes rose up and settled into their niches. Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony. And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Oh, wait, that's Avatar. Hold on. Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the 4 tribes lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Tribe attacked. Also, the tale came before Avatar, so. But yes, war broke out between the tribes and they got to live through a little dark age known as Montau, also known as the Terror, also known as the Death Age. Real creative. Although I guess we did name Times of Decline Dark Ages, so you can't really judge there. But in this age, the Tau got to experience all 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They waged brutal war. The destruction caused their harvest to fail, bringing on a great famine. And in the chaos, many Tau died to the violence and pestilence of this dark time. This bloody war culminated with the Siege of Phaeton. The defense lasted 5 grueling years until 2 mysterious Tau, seemingly out of nowhere, appeared in the opposing side's ranks and convinced the respective leaders to parley in order to end these silly wars. The 2 Tau were seemingly impossible to resist, and they convinced the warring factions to be besties again. They explained the importance of peace and taught of the greater good that all Tau needed to unite in order to achieve. These mysterious fellows were then known as the Ethereals, and after a few short years, the Ethereals popped up all across the land and united all of the Tau, bringing on a new age of prosperity. And this would be the fourth horseman. If you thought that I only accounted for 3 earlier and that I was an idiot who can't count, then here, take this. This is the Hat of Impatience, and I want you to have it. Put it on, I think you'll look lovely. These divine figures brought in a new age of hope, conquest, and zeal for the greater good within the Tau race. And united, the Tau rapidly developed their technology and began to expand their empire to spread the greater good. These imperialist pushes were known as the spheres of expansion. They began to assimilate Xeno civilization into their empire and destroyed the ones that did not comply. The first large-scale war that the Tau waged against the Xenos race was against the Orcs, who, of course, proved to be wholly unreasonable. And in their second sphere of expansion, they met the Imperium of Man once again. Both the Tau and the Imperium completely underestimated each other, and it led to a large conflict that ended in a ceasefire since High Fleet Behemoth was on the horizon. But yeah, same old, the Tau continued to expand their empire, assimilate other species, and come into conflict with other iconic factions, blah blah blah. Them meeting the other factions for the first time is actually usually pretty funny since the Tau are often super naive. Notable moments being them killing a cultist lord thinking he was Slaanesh, which, to be fair, they didn't know Slaanesh was a literal god. They called chapter masters King of Space Marines, which is very cute and also led to the minor misconception that the Tau thought that they killed the Emperor of Mankind. And when they thought that they had allied with the Dark Eldar and then quickly learned why nobody would want to ally with the Dark Eldar. But anyways, let's get into Tau culture and what exactly the greater good is. Unlike literally every other 40k faction, the Tau believe in a silly nerd concept known as tolerance and not instantly shooting anyone who is different from you. Hello? Nerd-ass cringe department? I'd like to report a cringe-ass nerd. But the Tau being more tolerant than the average 40k faction is like saying XV88 is more yellow than Scrag Brown. Both are the color of poopy, and a normal person wouldn't know the difference. The Tau are tolerant by 40k standards, but again, a normal person would think that they're absolutely insane. Although they let other aliens join the greater good and respect their various cultures, they still consider themselves to be the superior race and are only friendly if the other factions agree and better their goals. And they also do some other dubious things. The Tau used to be more cut and dry as the good guy faction, but everyone hated them, and GW got peer pressured into making the Tau more evil. In cases of races like the Vespid and the Galg, it's pretty heavily implied that they're forced to join the greater good, either through mind control and/or by force. It's also implied that the Imperials have some sort of mind control abilities, or at least hiding something more sinister. The ability has been rumored to be from pheromones, an unknown psychic power, or even as an organ that the Eldar planted in order to influence the Tau. It's important to note that the last one came from the book Xenology, which is an in-universe study of various Xeno species by an Inquisitor, so his findings may not be 100% accurate and are up for interpretation. But the Ethereals are often questionable since the Tau are unusually loyal to the Ethereals and will pretty much do anything that they're told to without question. In an extreme example, an Ethereal told a Watercast diplomat to stab herself and she instantly did it, seemingly against her will. And this little quirk meant that the more hot-headed Ethereals lost a lot of teammates in the ancient golden age of Xbox Live COD lobbies. But anyways, what exactly is the greater good? Essentially, it's just a philosophy that the Tau and their auxiliaries live their life to. The Tau are extremely collectivist and will always prioritize the good of the collective empire over the good of the individual. And this is also where the Tau being communist memes came from. Even though, ironically, the Tau are said to be based on the USA, NATO, and historic caste systems. All three of those actually make a lot more sense than the surface level space commie memes. But speaking of castes, let's explain that. The Tau have 5 main castes based on the original tribes and of course the Ethereals. The Ethereals are firmly on top and serve as the ruling class. Then the 4 elemental castes are roughly equal. Again, the fire castes are the warriors, the earth castes are the laborers, engineers, and doctors, the water castes are diplomats, traders, and hotties, and the air castes are pilots and shipmen. Then under the Tau, it's the lowest caste, and this is made up of their auxiliary species. Then, within each caste, there are even more ranks and strict hierarchies. Hierarchies? More like fire gunnies, because we're going to talk about the Tau weapons now. The Tau are one of the only, if not the only, 40k factions that is actually progressing their tech. Other than the Tyranids, Votann, Chaos, oh yeah, the Imperium, and a few other factions. But disregard that. The Tau are defined by their advanced tech and distaste for melee combat. To demonstrate how advanced the Tau are, their standard battle rifle, the Pulse Rifle, shoots pulses of plasma. While these plasma shots are generally weaker than the average plasma gun from other factions, for every other faction, their plasma gun is one of the most powerful special weapons and is often dangerous to operate. For the Tau, it's just a bog standard infantry rifle that you can get at the Walmart. Spelled with an apostrophe, of course. And they don't even have the risk of exploding in your face. Ugh, what's the point then? They've also got fusion blasters, which are their Melta analog, ion cannons, railguns, which can punch through most other factions' heavy armor with ease, which I just want to say the Baneblades can withstand a few rail cannon shots in lore, typical Guard W, and then some other fun weapons to administer the greater good with. And something very interesting with the Tau as a faction is that their model releases actually correspond to their technological advances, new models representing new Tau inventions. Originally, they relied more on aircrafts like the Manta to do airstrikes, but they began to develop more battlesuits, and currently the battlesuits dominate as their main form of heavy armor. And some may say fighter jets are more practical than a mecha suit, but those people are what we in the industry like to call total dorks. The Tau have a battlesuit for nearly every battlefield role. The crisis suits are the most common and act as heavy infantry. Along with having a super cool name, the XVA crisis suits are hypermobile with their jetpacks, heavily armed with the aforementioned Tau weapons, and have armor that protects against most non-armor penetrating weaponry. They're also designed to be modular for easy switching of weapons and the attachment of support systems like extra targeting arrays, shield generators, drone controllers, and whatever else best suits the suit's role. These crisis suits can relatively easily kill Space Marines, and there's like a ton of them, so even though the Tau are a relatively small empire, they're able to keep up with the big boys due to their advanced tech. And I'll make a dedicated battlesuit video down the line, but other notable ones are the XV-25 stealth suit, which is more like an exosuit than a full-on mech, and the KX-139 Tau-Nar Supremacy armor, which is the largest battlesuit and is meant to go against Imperial Knights and other large foes. Another prominent tech that the Tau use are their drones. These drones are little AI dudes which can be fitted to do pretty much any job that the Tau need them to. The Tau are also one of the only factions to commonly use the abominable intelligence. Some common drone types are gun drones, shield drones, builder drones, marker drones, and my favorite, the recon drone, which is just a drone with a giant minigun in its belly. Badass! Now that we know what the Tau weapons are, let's touch a bit on how they're used. Often the Tau try to use their watercast diplomats to resolve things peacefully, but when that inevitably fails in the setting called Warhammer, they've got a strong military to help resolve things. Tau militaries are usually made up of combined armed cadres, their equivalent to a regiment, supported by specialized cadres. They try to analyze their enemies and then make a fast coordinated strike to totally annihilate their foes. In this regard, the Tau are actually one of the most aggressive factions and try not to hold or capture territory until their enemy is completely crushed. After all, the best defense is killing literally everyone who disagrees with you. And they have two main war philosophies. Mont'ka, the killing blow, where they coordinate an overwhelming force to annihilate the enemy in one fell swoop, and Kaon, the patient hunter. This one emphasizes patience and ambushing an unsuspecting enemy. Their main units are Pathfinders, who provide recon and set marker lights, Fire Warriors, who are the primary infantry units and provide strong fire, their Crisis Suits to disrupt enemy lines and act as shock troopers with their jetpacks and strong weaponry, and then the support battle suits, which make up for a variety of other tasks. They've also got their auxiliary species. The auxiliaries often making up for some of the Tau weaknesses. Most notably are the Kroot, who are a proper 40k species who actually know how to sword fight cool style, just in case things get a bit too close for comfort, for the notoriously melee adverse Tau. And with that, let's close this off with some notable Tau characters. The High Ethereal, the Tau, and Supreme Leader is Anva. He was the oldest Ethereal and led the Tau to expanding their empire as all Ethereals do. He worked closely with Commander Shadowsun, and oh yeah, he totally got murked by a Caluxus assassin. But his death was covered up, and the other Ethereals use a hologram and AI of him to inspire the rest of the Tau, intimidate their foes, and to flex their cool hologram projectors they bought last Black Friday. Pfft, imagine the leader of your faction being a dead guy. How pathetic! Stupid Tau could never stand to the glory of the Imperium of mankind. Oh, hey, wait! The Tau ghoulishly using AI and techno trickery to pretend that a dead guy is still alive is super alarming and grim. I'm just glad that we don't do anything like that in the real world. That would be pretty cringe, huh? But then we also got Supreme Commander Shadow Sun, best known for being a certain Custodes' girlfriend in a beloved internet meme series. But she's also less commonly known as one of the greatest Tau commanders to ever live, a strategic genius and great warrior. Her and Commander Farsight were the two main successors of the legendary Tau commander Puretide. But Farsight left the Tau, so Shadow Sun became the new hero of the Tau and their Supreme Commander. She's a master of Kaon, wears an advanced stealth suit, and has ambushes to rival Creed, hiding Bane blades in the bushes. And, much like Master Chief, she's put into cryosleep until she's needed to kick ass somewhere. Then we have Commander Farsight, who, after his commanding ethereals were killed, he had a moment of clarity and succeeded from the Tau Empire to establish the Farsight Enclaves. Farsight was perhaps the greatest of all Fire Warriors and was a master of Mont Ka. Unlike Shadow Sun, who is often cool and collected, Farsight is more hot-headed and aggressive, and is one of the few Tau who likes melee combat, notably clashing with orcs and demons. Farsight is also a total badass and a relatively nice dude by 40k standard. His iconic Dawn Blade keeps him alive longer than the average Tau since it saps the remaining lifespan of whatever enemy it kills, so he's basically immortal if he keeps killing and surviving battles. His aggression also made him interesting in Khorne and Tzeentch. This is very notable since the Tau have a very small presence in the warp and are generally ignored by Chaos. I probably should have mentioned that earlier, but it's all good. But speaking of Khorne, let's talk about the last character. Shoshlok Case, not to be mistaken for the other video game character, Shosh O Case, is the protagonist of Fire Warrior and is a total nutcase. Pun intended. He was a rookie Fire Warrior, and in his first battle, he killed multiple Space Marine squads, a Space Marine captain, countless guardsmen, a greater demon of Tzeentch, and like a million other things. He was for real Malum Cato before Malum Cato. He literally laments about being too dang good at killing things and is canonically lucky like Master Chief. Pretty sick. And also, if you say he isn't canon, then Malum Cato shouldn't be canon either. And I don't want to live in a world where these two madmen don't exist. But yeah, that's the Tau. They're a really cool up-and-coming faction whose only real weakness is that they're relatively small as a faction, they're naive to the horrors of the world, and they don't have a good warp travel alternative. But they make up for that with sick-ass robot suits, baby. And I'm just gonna say it, I think they're a pretty cool and underrated faction. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Huge thanks to Tabletop Stronghold for sponsoring this video. If you need a case for your army and want to support a small business, check them out and get those sweet Black Friday discounts. And of course, thank you for watching and thank you to all my epic patrons. You're really helping the greater good of this channel. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and share to all your blue friends. Thanks. Learn the Tau based in America makes them 76 times cooler. America! Hell yeah!